Folks, welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. I'm here with Chris McDonough, and we're taking a moment to thank our friends over at Court TV for all their help. We've been given a great opportunity to meet with them regularly and offer insight. They've given us permission to rebroadcast this recent segment that we did with them. What are we going to cover today, Chris?
Hey, Mike, in this episode, we'll be talking with Vinnie Politan about a case of suicide by cop. We then look into body camera footage with a tense after-hours business check, and finally, we'll examine a security guard's actions in a recent shooting.
If you're on YouTube watching one of the great podcasts called Profiling Evil, with us tonight, first, retired police officer Mike King. Mike has served more than 4 decades in law enforcement, including as a chief of staff to the Utah Attorney General and as a police officer in Ogden, Utah. He is currently the Global Director of Fraud and Emergency Communication Solutions for ESR, and as I said, co-host of Profiling Evil on YouTube. Also with us, former homicide detective Chris McDonough. Chris has been in public safety for more than 35 years. He spent nearly 25 years with the Oceanside Police Department, including 13 years as a homicide detective. He's a member of the investigative team of the Cold Case Foundation and is also the co-host of Profiling Evil on YouTube. Great to have you both with us. I'm glad you could join us. Let's get to our first story. Comes to us from the Tallahassee Police Department. They released some information and some video. A suicidal transgender man with a gun confronts officers.
2020, Tony and Wanda McDade moved into 2261 Saxon Street, apartment number 3. Jennifer Jackson and her family were the next-door neighbors. Tony and Jennifer began a sexual relationship soon after. In late May, Jennifer ended the relationship. This caused tension between the families as well as physical altercations that escalated on May 26th and resulted in TPD being called to the scene. Jennifer's son, Malik Jackson, was involved in the altercations. Tony left the scene prior to law enforcement arrival and was not able to be located. This video of the fight was captured by a resident and circulated on social media. On May 27, 2020, at 1:05 a.m., Tony posted a video to social media, during which Tony detailed their relationship with Jennifer, described the fight involving Jennifer's family members, and vowed to kill members of Jennifer's family before engaging in a suicide by cop shootout with police.
Jennifer Jackson, pack your bags. You no longer have a home at 2261 Saxon Street. And it's not a threat. It's a promise.
During the video, Tony displayed a silver-colored, small-framed, semi-automatic handgun with black grips. Tony said the gun needed bullets and solicited viewers to provide .25 caliber ammunition.
And
TPD did not receive any reports regarding the video prior to the incident that occurred later on May 27th.
But just know, before I kill myself through a shootout, because that's what's going to happen.
At 10:49 a.m., Tony called their mother, Wanda, and disclosed the incident involving Malik. Tony told Wanda that Tony was stabbed during the incident, suicidal, and going to Leon Arms Apartments at 2502 Holden Street. Wanda left work, drove to Leon Arms Apartments, got a towel from a neighbor, and found Tony walking through the complex along the connector road between the northern and southern driveways of the complex. Tony walked up to the front passenger door of Wanda's car, and Wanda tried to convince Tony to get in the car. At 10:58 a.m., the witness officer and the involved officer turned onto the connector road from opposing sides. The witness officer turned onto the road from the northern driveway, and the involved officer turned onto the road from the southern driveway. Wanda jumped out of her car and ran toward the witness officer. Tony began walking toward the involved officer. As Wanda tried to warn the witness officer that Tony was suicidal, Tony brandished the silver pistol, assumed a shooting position, pointed the gun toward the involved officer, and continued walking toward the involved officer. Fearing for his life, the involved officer shot at Tony until he realized Tony had fallen to the ground. What you are about to see is an enhanced version of the video showing Tony assuming a shooting position and pointing the gun toward the involved officer.
Keep your hands up! I'm on 651. We got shots fired. 2500 Holton Street. EMS 1018 now. Huh? I haven't seen.
1030 drive going past the shots fired on Holton Street. All on my for special work.
651. We got a Baker mic down. We got a crowd forming. Let's get some units here. Hey, keep back, keep back, keep back. Cut back, keep back. Who is this?
My daughter.
Okay.
I told you she's on the suicide.
Okay. Let's go over here, ma'am.
I told you.
Tony was still alive and moving with the pistol within reach. The involved officer held Tony at gunpoint while the witness officer moved the handgun from Tony's reach.
Do not move. I'm moving the gun.
Don't touch the gun.
Stay down.
Put your hands on your head. Put your hands on your head.
Handcuff, handcuff, handcuff.
This is why I'm going to put the handcuffs on you. We're going to put the handcuffs on you being detained. Do not resist.
We will replay this section to highlight the gun near Tony's left hand, just above their head. After Tony was placed in handcuffs, officers rendered aid, including the performance of CPR and the application of an AED, tourniquet, quick clot, chest seals, and pressure to wounds. Tony was transported to a local hospital by EMS, where Tony was pronounced deceased.
It's an incredibly tragic story, obviously, but was there a way to de-escalate this situation? That's the buzzword, de-escalation. We're hearing it from everyone these days. Let's bring back in our guest, Mike King. I'll start with you. Mike, was there any way that you saw that this could have de-escalated?
Well, short of not showing up, these poor officers were called to a scene. This poor family that was there, this poor mother who had to witness this. This thing happened in a matter of seconds. The officer really, from my point of view, Vinnie, didn't have a real opportunity to even do some of the things that if there was more time he could do, like back up or try to get in the vehicle and back up. But she was closing the gap very quickly, and the officer maintained cover. And oh gosh, what a tragedy.
Chris McDonough, these are difficult situations. We've seen things like this before, but now the conversation has shifted. Everyone wants to know, in all officer-involved shootings, is there a way to de-escalate what happened here?
Vinnie, that's a great question. I mean, this is one of those situations that was from beginning to end. I did a count on how many seconds it was from first contact and then the rounds going off, and it was about a total of 17 seconds. So within that time, that reaction time, you have a mother who's trying to contact one of the officers, on the opposite side of the chute. And then you have the officer involved in the officer-involved shooting. If you take away 2 or 3 seconds for the officer to get out of his car and then engage this subject, he probably had about 12 to 14 seconds to react. So there really wasn't a whole bunch of time, unfortunately, to kind of utilize other type of command situations like, put the weapon down, that kind of stuff, because the subject was advancing on him at that time, so he had to, take a look at that threat.
Mike, what does this do to the officer now? All right, you're doing your job. We determined what happened here seemed to be suicide by cop, someone who wanted to die, and the police officer is the one who ends up doing it. How do you recover from that?
Yes, some never do. I mean, that's the tragedy, but the thing that you sign up for when you become a police officer is that you may be placed in that position and have to do something like that. This officer didn't want to do this. This officer didn't want to have this hanging over his conscience. And I just have such great empathy for everybody involved in these things, especially as you watch what this family was going through and the violence that was occurring before all of this erupted, and the violence that was happening day in and day out. The whole thing, Vinny, is just so tragic.
Absolutely. When we come back, more crime time. We've got a story out of California involving an officer on patrol. It's the early morning hours and sees a light on in the store, goes to investigate, and things get a little ugly. We'll talk about that one next.
You're being very defensive.
No, calm down.
My officer is doing his job.
Your officer's not doing his job.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, listen.
Yes, he is.
All right, some body cam footage released from police in California involving a store owner and police kind of going at it a little bit. Another one of the stories we're covering in our Crime Time segment, where we take a look at these stories and bring in our experts. Still with us tonight, Mike King and Chris McDonough. You will recognize them from the Profiling Evil podcast on YouTube. It's awesome. Check it out. Both have a lot of experience. Let's get to this next one. It comes to us from the Tiburon Police Department. An officer on patrol sees some people in a store at 1 a.m.
Hey guys. You guys, I've never seen you open this late.
Yeah.
Are you just restocking?
No, just doing our thing.
Just doing your thing? What's your thing?
What's up?
Well, I've never seen anyone in the store this late.
Is that a problem?
Okay, baby.
No, just chill, chill. Is that a problem?
No, sir, there's no problem. I've never seen anyone in the store this late. I wanted to come check in and make sure everything's okay.
There's no problem going on.
My business, sir, is to look at the property down here, and if there's something that stands out to me...
So what stands out to you? There's 3 black people in a store?
There's 3 people.
You're gonna, no.
Sir, you could be black, white, Hispanic.
No.
Absolutely, sir.
It's going to be 3 black people in a store. You're going to come around and try to,
I don't want to argue. I just want you to tell me why you're here.
Huh?
I just want you to tell me why you're here.
I'm not going to tell. I'm not answerable to you.
Do you guys have keys to the building?
I don't have to tell you.
Is this your store?
So what's the problem with having 3 black people in the store?
You keep emphasizing black people. That's not.
Yes, yeah. You cannot tell me you don't see that. You see that 3 black people in the store. What's the problem with that?
I see 3 people in the store at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I see
1 o'clock in the morning. This street's closed up at 9 o'clock at night. There's nobody here.
Okay, so what's the problem?
That's the problem. There's 3 people in the store in the middle of the night. We are doing what we're supposed to do. We're looking out for our community.
Okay.
That's all we're doing.
Okay.
That's it.
You're looking out for my community. That's what you mean to say.
If this is your store, you're part of our community.
If this is my store, I've already told you it's my store. Don't use the word if.
Okay.
I've told you it's my store.
Okay. Then we're looking out for your community.
Okay.
Do you want us to look out for your community, or do you want us to let anybody just walk in here at 2 o'clock in the morning and steal all your stuff?
I want you to look out for my community.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because you don't sound like you're very grateful. You sound like you're very defensive.
No. I do not sound defensive.
Really?
All right, so I want to wrap up this conversation. We're wasting time. So what's going on? What's up? What's the next step?
Prove to us that you have keys.
This is my store. Okay, wait.
There you go. That's a perfect thing.
I just asked for that.
Okay.
You know what? Put the key in the door and we're out of here.
Put the key in the door?
Put the key in the door.
If
this is your store, you have the
That
key.
is, I'm telling you.
There you go.
Stand back, please.
There you
Do
go.
not raise your voice at me.
Put the key in the door.
Don't
We're out
raise
of
your
here.
voice at me. Just chill. I'm going to put my key in the door.
That's his store.
What's that?
That's his store.
Thank you very
sir.
much. That's all I need to know.
The dude knows.
Thank you. See ya.
Wow. Did the officers need to make that stop is my question. I mean, what do you do in this situation? Chris McDonough, your thoughts on this? I mean, police are on patrol. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Do they need to make that stop?
Yeah, I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning, yeah, they have a right to, just kind of make the stop. But then, there's a couple things going on here. Number one, first of all, first clue, okay, the guy opened the door from the lock. Second clue, the cash register light is on. You can see it on the countertop in the back. Third clue, don't debate the guy. If he is a burglar, you got him in the store. Step back, make a phone call, i.e. call dispatch, get the CAD emergency contact, call into the store. If the guy picks up his phone when the dispatcher calls, have a good night. See you later, sir. It's that simple. It went too far.
Yeah, it clearly got to a place where, you didn't think it was necessarily going to go. Mike, how would you have handled this?
Absolutely, they needed to be there, but there was a batch of testosterone going on in that deal.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, though. In the world that we live in now, is it incumbent upon police to, put a little different perspective on what's going on, that people may be a little more sensitive about why they're being questioned? And why, well, I'm here in my store. Why are you bothering me in my store? Is it incumbent upon police to understand that and in the way that they interact with someone when they are doing what they're supposed to do, right? Which is protecting the local businesses at 1 o'clock in the morning when nobody's open.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you had two guys that were trying to defend their position rather than just solving the problem, which is really kind of a goofy situation to put yourself into. But the officer could have done exactly like Chris said, step back, give it a second, let this thing calm down a little bit. You got the guy cornered in the store if he is a burglar, but everybody was looking pretty calm in there. It was just two men trying to assert who was in charge.
I think you hit the nail on the head. All right, final story tonight from WRTV in Indianapolis, a security guard shooting.
Melvin Eugene Hall is accused of killing Natasia Williams on Friday on the 4100 block of Brentwood. Before the shooting, Williams had an argument with another female. Police say Williams had a gun, which apparently was not loaded. A witness says that Williams never pointed the weapon at security guard Melvin Hall, who shot into the vehicle 3 times. A witness also says that Hall never gave any warnings before firing his weapon. Hall's company, Indianapolis-based Superior Tactical Response Agency, provides security to this apartment complex. The Marion County prosecutor credits witnesses and several videos for supporting the murder charge.
All right, do security guards get enough training? I mean, they're on the front lines also, and I'm wondering your perspective on this. Chris, what do you think? Do security guards get enough training?
Well, in Indiana, they don't. There's no requirement for a security guard to get any, type of training at all. All they have to do is get hired by a licensed agency, and they get to go out on the street and guard apartment complexes at 3 in the morning, armed. So they need a lot of training. That's for sure.
Mike, I'm wondering if we're going to see more private security if we have police departments that are defunded and manpower is down. You may see private security doing a lot more work, whether it's businesses or neighborhoods. What type of training should they be getting, do you think?
Well, I think first and foremost, they ought to be getting training in human interaction and how to deal with things, and then when to back out and call the police. And, in a situation like this where you're up next to the vehicle, the driver's side, folks are saying that the person didn't point a gun. I have no idea whether that's true, and they could have been pointing a gun from their lap for all I know. But the officer was in a position where he had the advantage, and he could have stepped back and moved back. And that's what training does for you. And then get to the people that are paid to do this, the law enforcement folks that are paid to come out and respond and take care of situations like that. This is an intermediary position. It's not someone that has arrest powers.
Mike King, Chris McDonough, I'm so glad you were able to come on the show. Please come again. Thanks so much. Check out Profiling Evil, their podcast on YouTube.